Hello, this is Our Money and my name is Bihus. You know, it's no secret that a person at work is different from the same person on vacation, especially when you're a prosecutor and you take a vacation with your inner circle and nobody else sees you. We're lucky to watch the prosecutor's behavior at football competitions for 2 months, the Prosecutors' General's Cup. What cars do they drive when they don't have to park by their offices? How do they behave themselves when they think that no one sees them? And how much alcohol a single prosecutor can imbibe before taking the wheel? Nadiya Burdiey and Natalia Kasyanenko will tell you. Prosecutor General's Office, Kyiv Oblast Prosecutor's Office, other regional prosecutors. You haven't seen them like this before. Athletic, competitive, self-critical. Damn, he'll defeat me in a moment. The prosecutors of the PGO are getting ready for a game against their Ivano-Frankivsk colleagues. The PGO is wearing blue, the Ivano-Frankivsk Oblast is in yellow-blue. Head of the PGO's Special Investigations Department Serhiy Gorbatyuk has the ball. Yeah, he passes it and go, go, go! Prosecutors are both in the field and in the stands. Every May through July, prosecutors from the entire country play football. They compete for the Prosecutors' General's Cup. Guys, go, go, go! The stadium sees a real fierce fight the prosecution often lacks at court, but that's a fight for a ball. The ball flies over the goal. Suit-clad terse introverts at work, the prosecutors turned into emotional hooligans at the stadium. That's where they recreate. It's a perfect place to watch them in their natural habitat. Expensive cars, peculiar meetings and alcohol. Here is Oleksandr Kurbatov, a prosecutor from the PGO, parking his Lexus. The car is owned on paper by an ex-businessman. The prosecutor says it's his friend's. He gave him the car for free for the prosecutor to look after it. He wanted to sell it, I told him to give it to me, that I would take care of it, and he agreed. That's a great friend to have. Considering the prosecutor's friend doesn't have any business now, it was very generous of him to give his Lexus to the prosecutor. If Mitla isn't lying, of course. Here is another PGO prosecutor who arrived in a Mercedes, Serhiy Pavchuk. Since recently, he's been represented at courts. He transferred from Donetsk Oblast. It's not surprising that his car is owned by his grandma from a village there, and it's absent from his declaration. Call a timeout. Roman Parsenyuk of the Mykolaiv Prosecutor's Office supported Serhiy Pavchuk. Roman's car is registered to a 60-year-old elementary teacher from a village in Mykolaiv Oblast. Go, score it! Oleksandr Kurbatov, a prosecutor of the Ivano-Frankivsk Oblast, drove up in a posh, very manly Lincoln Navigator, which is registered for his wife. His wife bought the car at the start of 2018, as well as a Land Cruiser and a 3-room flat. They have spent almost $60,000 in several months. Paradoxically, she earned less than a minimum wage throughout the last year, around $115 in total. Run, only 3 minutes left. Yaroslav Bendik, deputy prosecutor of Kyiv Oblast, cheers for his subordinates. He isn't playing today, just watching. He came in a business-class Volkswagen registered for his 72-year-old mother-in-law. She's a registered small street retailer. Turns out that working at a market allowed the prosecutor's mother-in-law to buy him a Volkswagen Touareg and a house near Kyiv. Because the 360 square meters house the prosecutor resides in is also officially owned by the mother-in-law. Another deputy, Igor Hrabec, he made it without a mother-in-law's help. His $38,000 Lexus is registered for his judge wife. After all the deputies, it's time for Dmytro Chibisov, the prosecutor of Kyiv Oblast, to appear himself. He's humble, without a Lexus or even a Touareg. He just uses a company car to go to a game on a weekend. This doesn't really look like one of his duties. If we ask the prosecutor what did he use to get here, he will lie. What did you come in today? Me, on an ordinary car? Your own? Yes. Or a company one? No, mine. Yours? Yes. I don't own one, so I got a ride. Who did it? Who? Let me see. We have a... Hurrah! That's not entirely true. That's the prosecutor's office's car. Can a prosecutor of an entire region just lie bluntly to our faces? Let's try again. So, about the car. What did you come in today? I have an employee who gave me a ride. He lives near me. So that's not a company car. No, why? Does it have to be? No, it doesn't, because that's prohibited. But that was a company car, on Sunday, at a football game. And Chibisov has already been reprimanded for this before. The media wrote that he got scolded exactly for misuse of a company car. Great job! And that's what Chibisov risks getting another reprimand for. The game. Kyiv Oblast prosecutors in dark red, Kyiv City prosecutors in blue. Chief prosecutor of Kyiv Oblast turned out to be the chief football fan. Didn't miss a single game. He's extremely active outside the stadium too. In a while, he lied about his activity as well. Chief prosecutor of Kyiv Oblast walks around the parking, waiting. Escort arrives in 10 minutes. That's Rustam Jambulatov, who was influential in the early 2010s, but is largely forgotten by now. He exerted a very specific influence. His firm was a part of a monopoly, which dealt with a confiscated property, and was created by Lavrinovich, then Minister of Justice. The prosecutor embraces Jambulatov and they hide in the courtyard. They discussed something for an hour and then... Who is Rustam Jambulatov? Who is that? Don't you know Rustam Jambulatov? Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. The businessman Jambulatov is surrounded by law enforcers, metaphorically. He bought his flat from an ex-deputy prosecutor general. His business partner is the wife of the head of main investigative department of National Police, Alena Shevtsova. Oops, we got distracted from Chibisov while he continues to lie. I don't know the firm. Rustam Jambulatov. I don't know the firm, sorry. Do you know Rustam? I don't know the firm. Do you know Rustam Jambulatov? I don't understand what you're talking about. Their meeting is a fact. Here is a video. The prosecutor knew what we're talking about, but he wanted to hide this for some reason. Ultimately, the Kyiv City Prosecutor's Office won the game. However, that's not the other team's fault. Same as it is in court, something else is to blame. Like the ball. Ball's shitty. The ball can't be shitty, they are all the same. The rest of the prosecutor's office's employees are keen on using their company cars as well. Well, all the heads get here in company cars. Well, the head of the anti-corruption prosecutor's office had an explanation. That's a company car, that's not mine. On weekend? Considering that I have a state guard, I have to. I didn't make the rules, that's what is in law. The answer of the Deputy Prosecutor General just raised even more questions. How did you get here? By a company car. I am on duty today at the prosecutor's office, so that's why I came. I have a work day today. That's Starozhuk after the game going to his driver. If we are to believe him, he's approaching a company car. However, the register says that this Hyundai license plate is registered for a private firm. The firm is bankrupt. It was closed down back in 2011, but that's not the most interesting. Before going bankrupt, the company behind Starozhuk's car belonged to the Bogdan Corporation, owned by Petro Poroshenko, Igor Kononenko and Oleg Hladkovsky. Now Poroshenko is president, Kononenko is an MP, Hladkovsky is in the Secretariat of the Defense and Security Council. Bogdan is owned by the latter's son Igor. While Lutsenko's deputy calls the car registered to the president's circle a company car. What's his company then? We sent an info request to the PGO, but they refused, citing a law on intelligence activities. Don't be afraid, grab his head and hit him. Sport and alcohol seem to contradict each other. But a prosecutor can combine with alcohol not only sport, but driving a car as well. A Kyiv prosecutor Vasyl Smetyukh, owner of shadily acquired land in Juliane and Koncha-Zaspie, came in an undeclared infinity registered for a brother of a party of region XMP. However, it's interesting how he drives, not what he drives. Vasyl Smetyukh seems to have a habit of drinking beer while watching football. He went for one can of beer, then for another. He's pretty wasted. He's gonna drive like this? Now another can with a friend to celebrate the victory. Are they going to just drive like nothing happened? Even after having the beer we caught on camera, the prosecutor had no right to drive the car. It's hard to say how much he managed to drink off the camera. But that didn't impede the prosecutor. Then the celebration was relocated out of sight, to the prosecution academy. The prosecutors are drinking. The prosecutors go to their homes after the feast. They are returning from the stadium to their high chairs and returning their cars to grandmas all over the country. I have no doubt that it doesn't take much for a prosecutor to break the law of Ukraine. But I can't do anything about the laws of physics. If he runs into something, I hope not someone, his status, won't make it possible to break those laws. Inertia isn't the police. You can show it your ID and tell it that you can't break that post because you are a big shot. While the residents of Kyiv complain about the expensive public transport, trams are being stolen in Kramatorsk. The name of the person involved in this story has lately been often mentioned when things disappeared or changed their owners. Usually the things in question are larger, like the business center of Yanukovych's in Kyiv, but a tram park in Kramatorsk seems to have appealed to someone's taste as well. Next, Oleksandr Kurbatov. Central square of Kramatorsk, the new administrative center of Donetsk Oblast. There stands the mayor's office. They really like how the city's transport problem was resolved. They have buses instead of trams now. We got high-quality transport, which meets all the environmental requirements, which is low floor, which is adapted for people with disabilities, which is adapted for old people. That's a new comfortable transport at 6 a.m. We decided to make an experiment and take the same trip people travel every day on a bus instead of the tram that once was going here. People are hanging, you see. Is this a lot of people? No, that's a few. After the holidays? Yes, the old women are asleep. This bus is intended for a small number of people and for sitting, not for this quantity, a school bus. 6 a.m. Vesela village. From here, the tram went all the way through Kramatorsk up to the Bilenki village on the other side of the city. In July 2017, the authorities cancelled the tram altogether. The people weren't happy. I work in Bilenki. I took the tram to Bilenki and that's it. Now I have to catch a marshutka to go to the city, then change to another marshutka. Every day I have to spend 20 hryvnias to get to work. And I had to spend 6 hryvnias before. The tram went every 10 minutes and worked until 1 a.m. Now, private marshutka, shared taxi and municipal buses filled its place, working until 8 p.m. On weekends they stop even earlier. You can get to our place only on the 5th bus. I am really fed up with this bus. Sometimes the fare collector says there are 3 buses on this route with 2 broken down, but they were new. Yes, if a bus breaks down, they don't replace it. The residents demanded to return the trams. They collected signatures, held protests. It didn't help. Now a group of activists protects the posts of the tram's power line from disassembling. There was a post, it was cut down at night. The village residents called the police. They wanted to probe us whether they will be able to demolish it, gauging the society's reaction. The mayor's office says the tram is an inefficient and polluting type of transport, and the tram bus department allegedly asked for the tram's removal themselves. The enterprise appealed to the Kramatorsk City Council about the dangerous condition of the tram infrastructure on the territory of Kramatorsk city and the economic unviability of further use of tram passenger transportation. 4 tram cars remain in order out of 8. They have over-mileage and have to be repaired. For 29 years, Tatiana Korolyova has worked as the depot's repair woman. She was responsible for the tram's technical condition. She assured us that the trams were in good condition, and there were more trams in order than the authorities tell. We have 8 working trams. I oversaw their technical condition. I drafted it, I signed it. There was nothing else. According to her, this was confirmed by an independent evaluation. They came from the Institute of Road Transport. They examined the tram's condition, the rails and the power line. They concluded that the tram is fit for service. When the nearby town of Drushkivka heard about the plans to cancel the tram, they came to check the prices. They wanted to buy the cargo trams, we have 2 of those, a snowplow and an overhead crane cargo tram. They checked them, they tried our passenger trams and told us that ours were better than Drushkivka's trams. The Kramatorsk city authorities have told that they stopped the tram because it wasn't feasible. Drushkivka, however, is 3 times smaller than Kramatorsk and it still has its tram. Is it profitable? With Družkivska's example, the local activists and workers of the tram depot decided to calculate the passenger traffic themselves, as well as the cost of electricity. I wanted to install an electric meter on the tram to calculate its power consumption. They inflate the figures to say it's not profitable. The next day after we struck the agreement, there was an alleged incident and they disassembled the junction. The activists are convinced that the authorities wanted to make money by disassembling and selling the tram infrastructure. The sale of materials of the items may fetch up to $690,000. The economic effect will comprise about $300,000. And that's only the official figures. Alternative ones estimate the tram infrastructure to be worth at least $1.5 million. The Kramatorsk authorities are anxious to close the tram issue and buy buses with the city's budget's money. 13 buses were bought with the local budget's money. The new buses were bought through the local tram bus department and the city's municipal enterprise. But the sellers were the same every time. Either the tender was attended by dealers of the Cherkasy car factory with their Ataman buses, or a dealer of Bogdan buses came to the tender. No competition between the manufacturers. These companies have already divided $900,000 between themselves. Replacing the tram with buses can bring money in different ways. Firstly, by utilizing the infrastructure. They haven't started doing this full scale. However, the city council is ready to choose the companies to do that. Secondly, on procuring buses without proper competition. More than $900,000 were already spent on that. Thirdly, on designing and building new routes. They paid more than $150,000 for a 500-meter stretch. Finally, on increasing the passenger turnover of private transport operators. There are only 2 of those in Kramatorsk. Half of the routes are taken by a company linked to the family of the ex-prosecutor General Pshonka through Kosarev, who was Pshonka Jr.'s assistant. Another half belongs to the private ATP 11410. Among its co-owners are not only the people of the fugitive ex-president Yanukovych, but of the incumbent one as well. An activist insists that the new municipal buses have first appeared on this company's territory. During the investigation monitoring, I saw the buses parked on the territory of Bliznuk's and Yefimov's private ATP. When we started to stir this up, to ask questions about the origin of the buses, they were moved. Serhiy Bliznuk, son of ex-governor of Donetsk Oblast Anatoly Bliznuk, one of the most wealthy and influential people in the region. An MP from Petro Poroshenko bloc Maxim Yefimov, a longtime partner of the Bliznuk's clan. Together, they own local industry giants and a dozen of other companies. One of them is ATP 11410. The MP, Maxim Yefimov, said that he is not interested in the firm's profits because he has a very small share. I'm not a co-owner of a big part of ATP. I have like 1% or something. That's why this clearly wasn't a decision in which I, as the owner of 1% of ATP, have any reason to support it or otherwise. Actually, I think that competition must be competition. Before becoming an MP, Yefimov was an auditor of the ATP. Anatoly Tityanko filled his place, who is also a member of the Kramatorsk City Council. Yefimov placed the responsibility for the tram's destruction on the council. They replaced the tram with trolleybuses, that's good maybe. If they replaced trams with nothing, that would have been bad. In any case, the city council makes all the decisions with the city authorities. How can I influence them? In the past, the trams got stopped in Družkivka as well. However, the new city council returned them to the streets, to the joy of the locals. Tram fares there are the lowest in the region, even after the latest raise. It's 3 hryvnias since the 1st of May, and before that, it was 2 hryvnias. 2? Don't cancel our tram. Tram is 3 hryvnias, marshutka is 4 hryvnias. Private transport operators in Druzhkivka don't inflate the prices, or they will lose to the city tram, while in Kramatorsk money is already being made on the tram's destruction, and serious people will earn even more. However, they commute to work on the new buses. That's all for today. You can watch any of our episodes on our YouTube channel. Write us on Facebook and Twitter. We love your comments and we try to answer them all. If you have an interesting topic, better write us an email so that we would see it for sure. See you on air in a week. This was Our Money with Dennis Bihus. Goodbye.